That's like 5 WT stones. Put the bayou back in the bayou.
It's not my dad.
That ain't my dad. All right, so this is my Suzuki Ltr450. Last time you guys saw this thing, it was in my Seven Springs race video. I really haven't touched the thing since. I pretty much just cleaned it after the race and then parked it in here. So right off the bat, this wheel bearing is just shot. Let's pop that wheel off and figure out what's going on. All right, so this is way worse than I thought. It kind of doesn't really surprise me. You know, I did ride it out of the woods after the wheel bearing went out, which was a pretty long ride out of the woods. This is also just really, really bad on the inside. This whole hub's gonna need replaced. And I guess this is gonna need replaced too. That kind of sucks. But let's take the other side off for now because I'm gonna do both the front wheel bearings anyway. As you can see, there's a pretty big difference here. All right, that looks much better. That looks just like the other side. So the good news is I'm not gonna have to replace this. Alrighty guys, just made it to Cycle Salvage. You know how it is. Here with Jason, about to match up an Ltr450 hub.
They're getting worse.
Yeah, they're looking pretty rough.
I'm saying this stud here might want to
Oh yeah, change the stud.
dirt on now.
Alright guys, so it's my old hub. These are two Z400 hubs. We matched them up. They look almost identical. They should work. You know, they should work. So we're gonna at least try them. They were only 25 bucks a piece, so I bought two to have an extra. We'll see what happens. Where'd my Knife go?
Ah, another package.
Got the new rotors for the LTR. Oh, that's a nice big back rotor. What happened?
Oh, no, I ain't gonna hit nothing.
Should we just duct tape it on? There it is. Perfect. Might be hot.
It's hot.
Some degreaser going.
Get that stuff away from me! I'm tired of smelling it!
So now that we got the bearings out of both of them, I figured why not just stick them in this degreaser overnight, since the new bearings are in the freezer. Oh yeah, the wash.
Here we are, the wash.
Oh, yeah! That's what I'm talking about!
The next day.
Ah yes, frozen derbies.
Yeah, the derby!
Yeah.
Now or never. Seated.
Oh, yeah! That's what I'm...
Melted.
It's crisp.
That feels really good.
Bueno. Bueno.
Bueno.
So now we're putting in, I guess these are just spacers. Nice crispy bearings. Alright, so just in case any of you are watching this as a tutorial, it goes outer seal, which is the small one, then outer bearing, which is the small one, then there's a spacer, and then it goes outer bearing, outer seal, then this outer spacer that looks like this goes in here, and then there's also this little inner spacer. So yeah, this feels good now on the inside. Should be good to put back on the quad. I'm also going to go ahead and replace the brake pads while we're doing this. There's the old pads. Nice new rotor. This is gonna need beat with the hammer. Oh, look at that. That's premium. Look, this is buttery smooth.
Wow. You gonna be able to ride this thing now?
Yeah.
Just in time for me to leave for Florida.
Exactly. They've timed it perfectly. Alright, so I was messing with trying to get the Z400 hub on for a little while now, and it needs to be noted that these are a little bit different than the Ltr450 hubs. Pretty much the key difference is the rotor on the 450 hub sticks out like a couple millimeters more than it does on the Z400 hub, and for some reason the 450 rotors are just ridiculously overpriced online. I mean, even used ones were between, they were like getting in the $200 range. Like, it was ridiculous. But a quick easy fix for this is just take a couple washers. I don't remember what size these are off the top of my head. I think they were 5/16 with not a very large outer diameter. But either way, go to the hardware store, get some washers that fit in there perfectly. This lets us raise the rotor up, which brings it right to where the 450 hub has the rotor sit. There's enough thread left on these, and I'm using some medium strength thread locker. So I'll check these after a ride or two to be safe, but I'm pretty positive this is gonna be fine. Alright, so going back to the start of this video, another issue I was having was with it starting. So the quad was cranking over really slow, and I thought, you know, it's probably just a battery issue. And after putting a new battery in it, it didn't fix the problem. It was still cranking over really slow. After looking online, I didn't think it was the starter. I was pretty sure it was this decompression mechanism that you're gonna see in a minute here. But pretty much, I guess what that does is it lets the compression out while the engine's starting to let it crank over easier. To be honest, I'm not quite sure exactly how it works, but according to forums, this was like a common issue, and it reflected all the symptoms I was having. So we're gonna jump back to Landry's house here. This is where Isaac and I tore the quad down and popped the head cover off to try to adjust this thing. And then you'll see after we adjust it, it like kind of fixed the problem, but then the starter went out. So I really think the starting issue was a combination of the starter going bad and this decompression mechanism. Here, right here on this end. There actually wasn't really any good information on this. The user manual apparently thinks it's unserviceable. Okay, update. We figured out the problem. So the spring definitely was just too weak. We adjusted the spring and made it tighter, and then when we screwed the bolt back on the shaft, it's hitting up against this, I guess, part of the lever that sticks out, and all the forums were saying that you have to grind this or file this little groove off.
Little lump on the top of that.
There's a little lump on the top of that once you adjust the spring and make it tighter, you have to file that off. So you can see it's completely flat now. Oh yeah, much more spring action now. Alright, so as soon as we put it all back together, of course the starter just decided to crap out. I think because that thing wasn't working right that it wore it out, but I mean, who knows. Either way, here you can see how messed up it is.
Yeah,
That
that's
doesn't
bad.
sound good. Yeah, I think she's clapped.
Not very good. If you feel it, the bearings are all gone
Really?
too. Yeah.
Well, one new starter on the way. All right, so the new starter for the LTR just came in. Hey, look, a new starter.
It's the wrong one.
Better not be.
Oh, that's nice. Feels much better too.
Sounds good to me. Let's throw her in.
Actually, we should put that wire on. You hear that song? Starting to feel like Seth with that sawzall.
Definitely don't know how to saw.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, saw the saw.
Listen,
You don't know how to saw the saw.
listen. The sawzall ain't got enough balls to cut it.
You just don't know how to saw the saw.
Listen, you about to saw the saw.
I'll saw your saw.
You know what?
You don't know how to saw the saw. Probably put this on first. So I'm trying to line it up. So I'll try this bolt here. Guess now your GoPro knows how to saw this off.
Ah, somebody saw the saw. What happened? You on the cigarettes, bud?
I don't smoke.
You don't smoke the cigarettes.
No, they're bad for you. It's really a gamble whether these studs are gonna come out or the nuts are gonna come out.
We should just get like a secondhand smoke diffuser for this garage. Got the air filter all clean. Give her a quick spray, some lubricant. Okay, jump pack is on. We're in neutral. We're just seeing if it cranks. Alright, so the problem is why it wasn't cranking or anything. This fuse, it's not blown, but it was all, I mean, it's not blown, but it was all smashed up and it wasn't making a good connection. Now let's throw another fuse in there. Alright, there we go. Should crank now. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and get everything else tightened. Gotta get the head cover crank back on, put the fuel tank on, reroute the lines, and yeah, we'll be good.
So there's grommets.
Alright, so we're gonna wash the tank real quick. Everything important should be plugged off so no water can get in or anything like that. Well, you want to see if she fires?
Sure.
guys, so it's the next morning here. I got the LTR the rest of the way put together last night. So yeah, let's go hit the trails and test it out. And just like that, we were at the trails. All right, bud. Oh boy, we got ourselves a three-wheeler. Bud, what'd you get?
So it's a 1984 Honda ATC 125M.
Wow, guys, that is just something. We're gonna have to make this thing its own video.
Yeah.
I was gonna add this onto the LTR video, but this is worthy of its own thing. Careful! Got your leg out of there, bud. Different than a bike, huh?
Dude, it's fast.
Very
It's got
fast.
so much torque.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It'll wheelie in most of the gears.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.